The last time Columbo left his usual stomping ground of Los Angeles, it was to visit London in the dreadful Dagger of the Mind. So when he sets sail in troubled waters, it's understandable to want to jump overboard yourself, but never fear, because Troubled Waters is yet another series highlight. Auto executive Hayden Danzinger routinely takes a cruise from LA to Mexico aboard the Sea Palace, and while doing so has been having an affair with lounge singer Rosanna Wells. But this voyage will be Rosanna's last, as she threatens to reveal the relationship to Mrs. Danzinger, who is also on board. Part of Hayden's plot involves faking a heart attack to stage the most audacious alibi ever.
Ow! Ow! Help me, please!
Though if I boarded a cruise ship and the onboard nurse looked like this, I'd probably fake an illness too.
Your life signs are all very normal.
Everyone thinks he's laid up in the med bay when the murder occurs, but he actually sneaks out, runs up the employee stairwell to Rosanna's cabin, and blows her away. To further his scheme, he frames one of the ship's musicians, piano player Lloyd Harrington, by planting a receipt for the gun in his cabin and drawing an L on Rosanna's mirror with her lipstick. Lloyd is a jilted ex-lover of Rosanna, none too happy that she broke up with him in favour of Danzinger. For the cabin crew, it would seem an open and shut case, if not for the fact that a certain Lieutenant Columbo is on board. Yes, our favourite detective is hitting the high seas, his wife having won cruise tickets in a raffle, so it won't be quite as smooth sailing for Danzinger as he'd initially hoped.
Have an enjoyable trip. I expect to.
The episode has a unique structure, introducing Columbo right away as the opening credits are still rolling. We see several snippets of Danzinger planning out his crime for honestly a long enough period before the actual motive is even revealed. Then we get Columbo and the killer actually interacting before the murder is even committed, when neither man knows who the other is.
Excuse me, sir, maybe you can help me,
There are other episodes where something similar happens, like how Columbo showed up before the murder in the greenhouse jungle, but this is the only instance of Columbo and his adversary just happening to run into each other before anything sinister has transpired.
Well, you go back to your cabin and you push the red button for the steward.
Oh, you know what I thought that was for? I thought that was for messages, you know, like in a hotel.
It's a nice foreshadowing of their relationship, which is another point in the episode's favour. Man from U.N.C.L.E. star Robert Vaughn plays Danzinger, and he plays really well off a Fox. Troubled Waters was filmed on an actual real-life cruise ship, which probably contributed to both men having such fun in their roles. Danzinger is a classic Columbo antagonist, straight out of the Jack Cassidy playbook. Charming, womanizing, with a keen sense of superiority and an even keener sense of style. Seriously, Hayden might be the best-dressed Columbo killer ever. Check out the drip. He looks less like a car salesman and more like a goddamn pimp.
Thanks.
Helping to keep our two leads afloat are a terrific supporting cast. As per unloved Lloyd Harrington, Dean Stockwell gets a lot more to do here than he did as fainéant fatality Eric Wagner in The Most Crucial Game. He's both sympathetic enough for you to feel sorry for him, but believably creepy in his relentless pursuit of Rosanna. Did anyone else notice that this love triangle turned deadly involving a heartbroken musician plot is strikingly similar to Etude in Black? The victims in both episodes even share the same last name, for fuck's sake.
Jennifer Wells is dead.
Steed himself, Patrick Macnee, plays the ship's Captain Gibbons, and Patrick Macnee is a worthwhile addition to any production.
Well, I suppose.
Bernard Fox, seen previously as Superintendent Dirk in Dagger of the Mind, shows up as Purser Preston Watkins. I liked him there, and I like him here too.
Captain, could you get a mattress up here?
A mattress?
Yes, or any kind of a mattress will do.
Mattress?
A mattress, sir? Yeah, any mattress will do.
Robert Douglas gives an understated and reliable performance as maritime medical man Dr. Frank Pierce, and the less time I spend talking about Susan DeMonte as the enchanting nurse Melissa, the better. The only weak link in the cast is Sylvia Danzinger, played by Jane Greer. Not because Greer is bad, in fact because she's so good. She really only gets one brief scene where she has anything to sink her teeth into. The rest of the time, poor Sylvia feels mostly relegated to a background character. I really want to know more about Mrs. Danzinger, but we just never get it. It's kind of a shame, but when the rest of the episode is so much fun, I suppose it's forgivable. Also, what's up with this shirt she's wearing? Does anyone else think it looks just, I don't know, odd? Sorry, Sylvia, darling. There's only room for one fashionista in this marriage.
You don't have to be so peevish about it.
Troubled Water's most memorable moment is also its most infamous, a seemingly interminable rendition of Volare courtesy of Rosanna. It's loud and gaudy and goes on forever. If nothing else, it does really make you feel like you are on a cruise ship in the mid-70s. But don't worry, I won't say anything else mean about Rosanna's actress. Oh my god, what the fuck? Is that poor woman's name Poopy? Other highlights include Columbo failing spectacularly at playing quoits, suffering from seasickness, Mrs. Columbo's off-screen antics,
It's not about my wife, is it? I mean, she likes to have a good time. Sometimes she gets carried away.
and a hilarious running gag about Columbo annoying the crew by constantly referring to the ship as a boat.
I can say it's a big boat.
Ship.
Ship, yeah.
One of the photographers that I see around the boat snapping pictures. It's a ship, Lieutenant.
Isn't that stupid of me not to know that you have a cruise stairway that runs throughout the boat?
Ship.
Ship, sir.
I also like how the episode sets up a lot of little things early on that will pay off in a big way later. The offhanded mention of fire drills that Danziger will later take advantage of to plant evidence, the presence of a stage magician who has a gun on board that will come in handy for Hayden, and the lieutenant's use of old school police techniques. This is the second and final directorial contribution of Falk's good friend Ben Gazzara, who helmed the third season closer A Friend Indeed. Much like that episode, Troubled Waters presents one of Columbo's most challenging cases. Remember, he's out at sea, all alone. He doesn't have an entire squad of police officers to assist him, no lab boys to run forensics or ballistics or anything like that. This is a mystery that really puts the lieutenant to the test, and we see him really having to rely on his wits and natural ingenuity to wrap things up. It proves what a brilliant mind Columbo truly is, and makes his final outwitting of Danziger that bit more satisfying. Since Lloyd's fingerprints aren't on the murder weapon, Columbo tells Danziger that he must have been wearing gloves, and if he could just find the gloves, which would have gunpowder burns on them, he'd have old Lloyd banged to rights. All Danziger has to do now to finally entrap the poor pianist is to steal some gloves, fire the magician's gun in an area of the ship where no one can hear it, and plant the freshly singed gloves somewhere for the cabin crew to conveniently find. Of course, this is exactly what Columbo was expecting him to do, and now he finally has his man. Not Lloyd, but Danziger. Columbo's not interested in powder burns, he wants fingerprints. Yes, both Danziger's finger and palm prints have been retained on the inside of the glove, outing him as the real killer. And remember, Columbo doesn't have any fingerprint analysis experts by his side here, instead employing an old cop trick using the graphite shavings from a pencil to prove Danziger's guilt.
Escort Mr. Danziger to the lower deck.
Yes, sir.
Hand him over to the officer in charge.
Very good, sir.
Man, considering how good Robert Vaughn is in this, it's kind of a shame that they never brought him back to appear in another episode. But as we all know, that never happened, which means I'll never have to talk about another episode of Columbo starring Robert Vaughn.
Do I still have time to catch that ship?
Yes, you can. And, Lieutenant, that's a boat.
Oh, that's a... And... The hell with it.